So it looks like to me that we got a second missile crisis. We got a second Cuban Missile Crisis on our hands. The 13 most dangerous days in the world was the Cuban Missile Crisis. October 1962. Within moments, nuclear war was within moments. And apparently a 3-man crew got to vote on nuclear war, and it needed to be unanimous. One guy said no, and that's what prevented nuclear war back in 1962. One Soviet Russian with a conscience. I don't know who said this, but events decide elections, not empty promises. Events decide elections. So Putin's Russia just pulled into Cuba. Putin's Russia has got a nuclear submarine in the Caribbean. We were told that there was no nukes. The Pentagon is downplaying this entire thing. So don't worry, everybody. Nothing to see here. Putin's word is golden. Oh, wait, now we're being told there is a fucking nuke. There is a fucking nuke just south of Georgia, just south of Alabama. There's a submarine. So you got the big ship, and then you got the submarine, and the submarine is armed with a nuclear weapon. Pentagon says nothing to see here. They're downplaying the threat. Apparently Putin's convoy is being tailed and shadowed by U.S. ships and planes. October 27th, 1962, a U-2 spy plane over Cuba was shot down by a Soviet missile. So, Soviet missile shoots down an American plane. And then on the 27th, a nuclear Soviet submarine was hit by a depth charge from a U.S. naval ship. So you have Russia shooting down our planes, and then we dropped a bomb in the ocean. A depth charge is a bomb that blows up near the submarine, and it shakes it all to pieces. With the intention of shaking the hydraulics or whatever to a point where the submarine just goes down. The submarine was too deep to communicate with the surface, so the submarine in 1962 thought that this was nuclear Armageddon. The nuclear war between America and the Soviet Union had already begun. So you had 3 senior officers on the submarine, and they were going to vote whether or not to launch a nuclear strike. In order to launch a nuclear torpedo, the decision needed to be unanimous. So you had 3 Soviet officers, a captain, a political officer. They both agreed to the launch. Disaster was only averted because the second in command refused. That's the Soviet Russian with a conscience. The other 2 guys said, fuck it. Let's destroy all of mankind. Fuck it. Let's blow up the fucking world. Let's have a nuclear winter forever and ever. And then the 2 guys who actually got all this solved, well, hell, we're just going to go ahead and pop them in the head. You had JFK and his diplomacy, and then RFK found some back channels in order to talk to Khrushchev, and then we were able to get the missiles removed in exchange for removing our missiles. Russia also got us to promise that we were not going to invade Cuba. We've been fucking with Cuba for the last fucking 70 fucking years. Well, I mean, they want to feed their babies. They're communist, right? So their economic system is based upon them wanting to feed everybody and make sure everybody's doing well. And hell, we just don't want that. Makes me think of a George Carlin joke about how we killed Martin Luther King, we killed Malcolm X, we killed John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. Why? Well, they're for peace. They're for love and justice and peace. And apparently America's not ready for that. The petrodollar's going down. I just heard a statistic where it says 25% of the American people are skipping a meal just to make ends meet. So instead of, what, two little meals, now we're doing 1.5. Events decide elections, not empty promises. So this looks like Kennedy is going to win. You got President craps his pants. President shits the bed. Wandering over here, wandering over there. He's demented. And then you got Mr. fucking 34 fucking felonies. That's the 2 best guys that we got. 330 million people. That's the 2 best. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a 13-day period during the Cold War where mankind came closest to total nuclear annihilation. During the crisis, the U.S. raised the level of alert to DEFCON 2. We were just 1 stage away from signaling all-out nuclear war. And a lot of this is such bullshit. A lot of this is, when I think about how Americans are, I don't hear anybody saying, man, we need to be a democracy. We need to make sure more people vote. We need to have a pure, direct democracy. No, people say the opposite. They say it's a republic, not a democracy. And why? Why do they say that? They're stupid. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Without elections, you don't have a republic. Without a democracy, a republic is a representative democracy in a nation state with specific borders. So a republic is a democracy, not a pure democracy where everybody votes on everything all the time, but those in charge, we're chosen by the consent of the governed. It's like we're proud to be fucking dumb and ignorant and backwards. People in America don't seem to be taking any of this shit serious. The Republicans versus the Democrats is just a brand marketing game. It's not an election. Their daddy's daddy voted fucking Democrat. I hear more Americans talk against democracy than for it. So of course we need Robert Kennedy in the debates. Of course we need Bobby Kennedy in the debates. And if you want to be specific, America is actually a confederated republic since there's 50 states. Republics. That means America is the presidential republic of 50 state republics. And then we got 14 colonies and 900 military bases. So we're not a republic at all. We're a goddamn empire. You ever watch Star Wars? That's an allegory for the Vietnam War. The rebels were for the Republic. The radicals were for the Republic. They were the change makers versus the galactic empire, the status quo. So we moved to DEFCON 2, which was the state of defense readiness, only one step removed from nuclear war. This is the first time in history that the United States had moved to DEFCON 2. While preparations for a potential nuclear war were underway and the background negotiations continued to take place, Robert Kennedy was the U.S. Attorney General. He met in secret with the Soviet ambassador Anatoly Dobrynin. After an intense period of negotiations, agreement was reached. The U.S. would remove the nuclear Jupiter MRBMs in Turkey and Italy. So we put nuclear weapons in Turkey and Italy, and they put nuclear weapons next to us. And then we were like, wait a second, you're not allowed to put nuclear weapons next to us, but you just did it to us. We've been a fucking bully-ass piece of shit for such a long time. You don't think the rest of the world notices that we just killed 35,000 Palestinians? You don't think the rest of the world knows that we're fucking slaughtering the shit out of Palestine? 100 to 200,000 people are getting killed every fucking day. They would also agree not to invade Cuba in the future. In return, the Soviet Union would publicly announce its dismantling and removal of offensive weapons in Cuba. It would also submit to verification of the removal of the United Nations inspection team. Ambassador Dobrynin cabled Moscow stating that the USSR needed to act quickly, as there was only a small window of opportunity to avert disaster. The next morning at 9 a.m., a message was sent by Khrushchev saying that nuclear missiles would be removed from Cuba. We're not killing people 100,000 every day, but so far 35,000 is the official number. Yeah, we're not counting all the people who's been starved to death. You got a blockade, so no food or medicine is allowed to go into Palestine. And for what? Just to save Israel? So this big-ass country is beholden to a tiny little fucking nation over in the Middle East? You think Americans would actually stand up for themselves and be for freedom, but when Israel sunk the USS Liberty, what did America do? Sorry, Israel. You're more important than every one of our citizens. Our president got fucking shot in the head. If we don't even give a fuck about the president, what chance do any of the rest of us have? So eventually you're going to have a quarantine, and there's like, do we go all-out war? Do we try to do something else? People are going to criticize John F. Kennedy and Khrushchev. Khrushchev was the leader of Soviet Russia then. They're both being criticized because to be a man, you got to murder, kill, rape, and you don't ever stop. But Kennedy and Khrushchev worked out a deal to where we didn't have to kill each other. We didn't have to fucking murder each other. And so the historians, they say that because these two leaders actually talked to each other and had diplomatic channels, that prevented an all-out nuclear war. And then from that day forward, you had a direct line from Moscow to Washington, D.C. You got to be able to pick up the phone and talk to Khrushchev. You got to be able to pick up the phone and talk to Khrushchev. You got to be able to pick up the phone and talk to Biden. Russia's in Cuba right now, going around with the fucking nuclear weapon. Why? To say that America ain't shit. Shoving his dick right into America's face. Do we have a direct line with Putin? Are we getting along at all? He wants to steal Ukraine. I'm not sure what to do about it, but I guarantee you, fucking ignoring this shit ain't going to help. Being dumb about the situation isn't going to help. I guarantee you. Ignoring it, being dumb about the thing, that's not going to help. That's not going to help. So maybe we can have a conversation. Maybe somebody can say, hey, wait a second. The preamble to the Constitution said that we're supposed to promote the general welfare. We're supposed to ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, protect freedoms, protect justice, liberty and justice, and union. Is that not what the preamble says? People want to say it ain't law. It's the fucking Constitution. That means it's the main law. It's also the end objects of our government, which means it's the main fucking purpose, the main fucking reason for our damn government. Anybody else want to weigh in? Anybody else got any comments? Questions? So 35,000 is the low estimate, 100 to 200,000. 100,000 to 200,000 is the total amount. But every day people are getting killed in Palestine. You think Israel's paying attention? You think Israel's going to fucking slow down, push for a ceasefire? The biggest reason why we haven't struck a deal with Israel-Palestine, because Palestine on one side, Israel on the other side. A two-state solution is what America believes, but Israel says, no, we want a one-state solution. We want Palestine. They don't want Palestine to exist. I also heard another quote that said, Israelis, they don't believe in God. Most Israelis don't believe in God, but they do believe that God told them that they get to live in Palestine. How much land is in Utah? How much space is in Montana and Nevada and Washington? How much space is in America? And we're going to sit there and be beholden to a nation state that's smaller than Delaware? Fucking crazy. This shit's fucking crazy. And it'd be like Idiocracy, right? The two people that actually got us out of the damn crisis, we fucking put a bullet in their head. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. I mean, it's just a joke, right? When the country is doing shit, well, that's great for comedy. George Carlin said, apparently we're not ready for peace, love, and justice yet. We're not ready for peace, love, and justice. Washington said something similar. Maybe we overestimated how the common man feels. So I give a damn, and this is me saying something. If you want to have a conversation, let's do it.